Okay, so this is an incoming video over something that I tried out and gave it a fair shot. And I should have made a video about it sooner, but it just dawned on me like, oh yeah, maybe I should make a cautionary tale for everybody to know. So, for those who aren't aware, or you probably are, GameStop, the company, hasn't been doing the best financially, so they're trying different things out. And aside from a bunch of merchandise that people don't want, because the name of the store is GameStop, not apparel store, not clothing stop, not everything but what you're supposed to be stop. But GameStop decided they're going to try to go the retro route. And they're calling it GameStop Retro. So what this is essentially is they're taking a few different locations and they're putting in retro stuff, just meaning past console games, because they want to get more people in the building. And it's kind of a cool idea. You want to see what they got. You want to pick something up for who knows what, whether it's collecting or relive the classics. And so what, I was excited. It had popped up on my phone and I was like, well, sure, it sounds interesting. And outside of vintage stock, there's not a lot of options here. So I decided I'll get my boys and we'll go check it out. So this is what I was initially sold on. I'm going to read it to you from GameStop's website. So it says, GameStop Retro, nothing beats a classic. And then they have a list of games here that they are supposed to be selling. So this is what I was told on their site. So this is every game that they're supposed to have for this retro thing that they got going on. It says Nintendo DS, the Wii U, Super Nintendo, the NES, the N64, the GameCube, the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS Vita, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, Xbox, and Xbox 360. That's a large array of games. So I was like, oh, that's really dope. They're turning specific locations into these retro stores with just old crap. Because that's how it was told to me. That's how I read it. Well, come to find, there's limited locations. Fair enough. I understand that. And where I live, there was only 3. They have a retro locator on their website that you can check out. So they had 3 locations, all pretty far. But I was willing to make the drive because I was like, you know what? I've been sitting with this PS Vita since it was launched, and I can't honestly say I have virtually any games for it. Whatever I did have, I got rid of a long time ago just because that was a dying system. And I kept it just because it was really cool, but I couldn't do anything with it. There just wasn't enough games that I was interested in trying. So we go to these GameStop Retros, and I'm thinking, okay, it's a full-on store. So we go to the first one. It looks like a normal GameStop. They got your promotional posters for games on the way. I'm like, well, it's GameStop still. So I go inside. Looks like a normal GameStop to me. Still got shirts, still got cups, still got some toys, and then there's games on the wall. So I'm walking through. I'm like, okay, maybe this is a fluke. Maybe the store locator's wrong. It's just a normal GameStop to me, and I hate GameStop. I don't go to GameStop. This is strictly just to see what old stuff they have outside of vintage stock. And I guess some people will know it as Entertain Mart. They just got a bunch of old crap. So then I find this little section, this tiny section, not even well labeled, that says that this is GameStop Retro. So in my head, I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This is the retro that you guys are advertising? All they had was a few PlayStation 3 games, a few Xbox 360 games, and a few Nintendo DS games. That was it. So we looked through it, the very small selection they had. Me and my friends decide this is whack. Let's try the next one. They don't got anything here. Maybe the next one will be better. So we take a 15-minute drive to this next location because these 3 locations are far from where we live, but these 3 are also very close to one another and where they're located. which is stupid. You'd think you'd want to spread it out in bigger cities. We were in one specific city location, which is not that big. It was very weird. So we go to the next one. This GameStop's a little bigger. Okay, cool. Maybe the wall's gonna be a little bigger. We still got toys and shirts and cups and whatever, and then you got your games on the wall. Then we reach their retro section. By this time, one of my friends, he goes to the bathroom with my brother. They gotta go out and go to a different store to use his restroom. So now we're just killing time, and I figured I was gonna hold off on looking, but I was like, well, we're here, let me check the retro section. Same exact issue. Only maybe like 60, maybe 50. It wasn't a lot. A few PS3 games, a few Xbox 360 games, and a few Nintendo DS games. So I'm frustrated. Like, I'm not going to this next location, because if it's going to be the same thing, I'm wasting my time. So I asked the dude working there. He's by himself, ain't nobody in there, it's dead. I say, hey, I saw on the website, I got notified that you guys are doing GameStop Retro with a bunch of these retro games. Is this it? Is it only PlayStation, Xbox, and DS? Is this it? Because I've got what I want from these generations of consoles. And the selection they had was poor. It was piss poor. So the guy tells me, oh yeah, we're rolling that out. But so essentially what we're doing is every game that was ever sold back to us over the years, that's what we're starting to roll out. So these are all games that we've been sitting on from the warehouses for who knows how long. So first they wanted to start with Xbox, PlayStation 3, and the DS, and then within a month's time we'll have all the other consoles here. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. I was like, I know they're not new copies, but they're just the games that you guys bought back from people. He's like, yeah, that's what corporate pretty much told us. That's what my boss said. It's just games that people turned in for some money, and we're just resending them out and trying to sell them. And a lot of these games are either above market value at their original prices, and these aren't necessarily good games either. They're like one-offs that people have forgotten about. I'm pretty sure Remember Me from Square Enix was full price at one of them. Who the f*** paying for that? So I'm like, oh, okay, so in a month, you guys will have everything that the website says. He says, yeah, that's what we're told. And I said, so is it going to be this same shelf, this same small area in the store? It's not going to be like a dedicated wall where you guys might push other games off onto a different section? He's like, well, at this point, it's just going to be this small area. And what we're probably going to do is just rotate out, depending on the week or whatever, of different console games. So I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. You will not see me up in this GameStop Retro shopping for anything. Because if you're going to tell me that the whole premise of this whole retro system is that I have to be proactive and come into this store that I live nowhere near on a potential weekly basis to find games that I'm not even sure if I want. I'm just coming here on a whim. I could call, but that's not reliable at GameStop either. It's really disappointing. I would recommend, unless you really want to see what they offer just in general, like you're just walking in like, sure, I'll check it out, don't even bother. If you really want a game, find it on the internet. Now, he did tell me GameStop Retro, you can buy any game that they have listed of the consoles on the website, but the 9 times out of 10 they're not going to be in the stores. So for instance, I'll even rifle off some. Here's ones that they're just throwing right in my face. I can get Pokemon Crystal version for Game Boy Color for $50, and then it's $3 cheaper if I'm a pro member. So that's ridiculous. Let's look up the original price of Pokemon Crystal version. Now obviously I know that if it's an old game and it's a rarity or a good game, obviously you can overprice it. I get that. That's how it works. But I mean, come on. Okay. So upon further research, Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games, I guess sold for around $45 to $50 when they first came out. So maybe Pokemon Crystal is fairly priced, but I can't imagine someone paying full price for as old as a game that is. And I know there's the argument still of like, is it valuable? Is it a memorable game? You know, was it a big seller for that company? So on and so forth. Well, the units they produce. But GameStop Retro just seems like a ripoff, honestly. If the whole promotion is that this is going to be available in store, but then it's not a guarantee that every game that's listed on the site from each company is going to be present at these stores, why even go through with this? Because you got to think, if the first rollout was PS3, 360, and DS games in my area, there was not that many PS3 games. Compared to what I even have at home, I have more than what they had there. There wasn't that many 360 games, and there was a lot of DS games, but let's be honest, the DS had a lot of games when it was relevant. They had a solid, I'd probably say they had about 60 DS games, but guess what? A lot of those DS games that they had on the shelves were not even first party titles. There was a lot of third party stuff people didn't even care for when they initially came out. So the fact that you guys are trying to resell stuff that y'all bought these many years ago, thinking that this is going to fly, I don't think it's going to work to their benefit in the long run. It's a terrible business practice, I think. If they were really serious about going in this route, take the hit. Purchase these things off of eBay, off of other trader sites. Get your hands on the games people really want. Put those in the store. Yes, are you going to play with the prices? I would imagine so. But at least I'm not wasting the time to drive as far as I had to, because I'm not California. It's probably going to be a great benefit to the very, very large states and cities. But for where I'm at in the Midwest, that's non-existent. So why would you not take the initiative to be like, hey, let's buy what people really want, put those on the shelves, and then I guarantee you're going to get a lot of people in there who are not only going to pick up an overpriced game from whatever system, you might even be able to be like, hey, while you're getting that Ocarina of Time on 3DS or on N64, guess what? We just got a shipment of Ocarina of Time Christmas mugs. Okay, you could probably make a sell on that. Sell the games, sell the nostalgia through the other bullcrap merchandise you guys got, and you'd have a real system in play. But you're not going to convince a lot of people when you just put out random games. I saw a bunch of Barbie games on the DS. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. That's going to be a very, very hard sell for anybody. No one's buying that for their daughters, because you got to think, these are also consoles. Kids don't have DSs. A lot of kids don't have 3DSs. The focus of a GameStop Retro is for adults. So you need to see what was the hottest games at that time and get your hands on that. Don't just try to sell anything that was out, because your market is a lot older, whether they like to admit that or not. A lot of kids are not indulging in video games the same way that the previous generations have acted or have treated it. So it's gonna fail. I'm sure it's gonna do well in a few areas. I'm sure California is gonna be eating great, but for the rest of the states, it's not gonna be that good. It's a waste of time. You can make these purchases on the website. You probably can find a better deal on eBay or Amazon, even Walmart.com if you try hard enough, I'm sure. But this, I would not recommend it. If you're gonna do it, go for it. If you're on the fence, I can promise you your time is better. It's just better spent somewhere else. Stick to Vintage Stock or Entertain Mart or any other local used game store, because essentially they're going to be hurting someone's business who sells retro stuff, and they're just not going to have what you want, really. And if they do, obviously they're going to mark it up insanely compared to what someone else might give you, because it's GameStop. GameStop don't care. They don't. So I just want to get that off my chest. It sucks. Don't waste your time. Yeah, you're better off just searching the internet. So Gamestop Retro is 5 thumbs down for me. I do not recommend it.